Hi and welcome. My name is Betina Simonsen. I'm the CEO of Lifestyle and Design Cluster. I would like to tell you a little bit about the development of our cluster and how we work in Denmark within the lifestyle area. We are the national cluster within furniture, design and fashion. And we have been pointed out by the Danish government as one of the 13 industry business areas that Denmark would like to put in a lot of investment into the innovation and research and development. We have started up in 2005 as a cluster within wood and furniture. We were a very small, kind of like development project. We decided within a couple of years of working that it made a lot of sense to integrate into more of a lifestyle kind of a cluster, as we could see especially in the retail area, that this furniture, fashion, textile was getting a little bit more blurry, like more lifestyle stores. We decided then to look at the advantages of being furniture, interior, textile and fashion, of course with design as the overall value proposition, and what could we learn from each other and what is the common kind of focus areas. We decided then to have 3 focus areas. One is the circular economy, and the second one is digitalization and new technology, and the third one is entrepreneurship, also including design. We have been working in the last 5 years with these focus areas, and it's made us very good at focus on what kind of activities is the most important to the industry as such for us to focus on. We are working very close with our research and development partners, and we're doing this, we call it bridge building. And that means that the research and development institution and the design school have a lot of new knowledge that we would like to make sure the companies get insight into. But we would also like the knowledge institution to get insight into what kind of challenges, opportunities within research and development the companies have. We are financed through, you may say, a net of different types of financing. We are getting grants from 2 different ministries in Denmark that actually is sponsoring the cluster program, but also we get money funding from municipalities, EU projects, national projects, and also private funding. We have some Danish private funds that we apply for funding from as well. And last but not least, of course, membership activities, subscription fees from the participating companies. We are a national cluster. We have to be servicing not only all kinds of companies within this segment, but also nationally. And we do that by being represented in different locations in Denmark. Here, as where I'm standing, is the head office in Herning, and that's where we have administration, communication, and also some project managers located. Then we have, not very far from here, we have what we call SYLab. It's a sewing lab where we help entrepreneurs when they start up the new fashion textile collections. They get some kind of assistance in how to develop their portfolio, but also to produce the first samples. As most of the textile fashion industry in Denmark is outsourced, it's very hard for them to get assistance into these small collections, small samples. And also in SYLab, the sewing lab, it's translated to. We are also having a big research and development project ongoing on developing a sewing robot. Because the sewing robot will be able to take more production back to Denmark, as I said before, because everything is outsourced. Our third location is in Aarhus, which is the second biggest city in Denmark. And there we have an incubator house called Head Start Fashion House. And we have facilities where entrepreneurs can actually be and be helped developed, and they can use our network to the rest of the industry, but also being a part of our development and research activities. Last but not least, we are in 2 locations in Copenhagen. One is in what we call Blocks, which is a very unique location where other partners, close collaboration partners are located, such as the Danish Federation of Textile is also there, the sports industry, the jewel industry, but also the Danish Design Center is located there, the Danish Architecture Center, and also GFA, General Fashion Assembly. Also in Copenhagen, we have our lab, we call it Lifestyle Lab, which is located at the Danish Design Museum. And there we have also incubator facilities where we have now 13 companies. But we are now working on expanding to have more entrepreneurs there, as our first facility is sold out. The Design Museum is a very unique location, as there's a lot of design lovers, delegations coming, stopping by, and we can use that synergy into also visiting our entrepreneurs in Lifestyle Lab. As the overall management of the cluster is, of course, the board of directors, and to head up the chairman position is a well-known person from the industry. And also we have 2 vice chairmen, which is the 2 largest industry organizations CEOs. After that, we have a very good group of representatives from the industry, from both furniture and fashion and design. We also have 2 representatives from the research and development organizations, and we also have 1 representing the labor union within textiles and wood furniture. The overall responsibility of the board of directors is, of course, to participate in and approve the strategy of the cluster. And every second year we make a new strategy where we involve different participants, companies, research and development institutions and design schools, and the staff of the cluster in a process. And we make KPIs for 2 years, and each year we do action plans. And of course we adjust the strategy currently if there's big changes such as Corona or war in Ukraine or something else that comes in that we have not been able to in the first place to take notice of. Then we have what we call dialogue companies. We don't have members as such, as the industry organizations are the ones kind of servicing the companies by membership. We have dialogue companies, and the dialogue companies, they are actually the one who is helping us deciding what kind of activities we should agree on to implement. So each year, each of us, the staff in the secretary, we have about 30, some have 20, where we are key account manager of our dialogue companies. And we have these suggestions for activities. It's now like a whole catalog, almost 63 pages or something. And we go and see our dialogue companies and meet with the management team, together with some of our research and development institutions, or it could also be just the secretary going. And we asked them which of these activities they would like to be a part of. And of course we plan these visits, and we won't present all of them because we know the companies, what their interests are, but also, of course, if it's a furniture companies, we will not present the fashion and so on. And then they will actually kind of give us a feedback of what of these activities we should actually implement next year. And also we will ask them, and you might think when we have so many activities to offer that they think that's enough, but they don't. They often have as many suggestions for other activities, which we take back. And of course, if it's more companies with the same kind of idea or problem we have to solve, we will do it right away. We have a small amount of money that we actually put into the yearly activities, so we can adjust and supplement if it's necessary. And also then that way we can go back to the actors in the clusters, the research and development institutions, or the other members, and say, well, these kind of activities are the ones that's already been supported by our dialogue companies, and that means that's the way we will prioritize our resources and actually implement these activities. So it's giving us a really good chance of having these companies to help us choose the right activities. So it's kind of demand-driven activities, but it also is a good way for us to get input into what is the industry situation here now, and what is their ideas or challenges that we maybe have not thought of together with our partners. The ecosystem of the cluster, participating partners, you might call them, consist of course, research and development institutions, and also design schools. Denmark has 4 design schools, and they're all big partners. And then it's industry organizations and, of course, companies. Also, we work a lot into looking into funding of entrepreneurs. So also investors are also partners in our clusters. The way we make sure that we service all the different companies within our cluster is that we have developed what we call the innovation ladder. And as I explained previously, the way the cluster program in Denmark has been kind of approved by the government is that we have to service these pointed out industry or areas, business areas, by making these innovation plans. And we have different types of companies in the industry. We have some that have not started innovations, just a little bit maybe curious, or the ones that already have PhD projects and so on. So we have made what we call the innovation ladder, and the kind of, you may say, background from that is that we are trying to push them, the companies, up the ladder. So if you are what we call a passive company, we might just start with inviting them to a seminar, webinar, like very easy, where you can actually kind of hide in the back. You don't have to participate yourself, but you might get a little bit of idea that this could be interesting for you or your company to be a part of. The next step, what we call the ready companies, they are the ones that might be interested in working with students. Students are fantastic icebreakers, because then you don't have to commit yourself to a big research project or so on. But first of all, you kind of support some students getting realistic problem solving activities, and also the other way around. The students often have no long background within the industry and all these kind of ideas of what you can do and not do. They're kind of open-minded, and that gives all the other kinds of ideas and angles of which is very good for companies to get from outside. On the next step of the Innovation Lab is the innovation-seeking companies. And there we actually start offering development projects a little bit longer, not like the 3-4 years long EU projects, which demands also a lot on the administration work. But it's more involving and more dedicating kind of hours and resources the companies are putting into these activities. On the last level, this sprinting level, the companies have allocated resources to R&D activities. And it could be also that they are involved in like a little bit more heavier research and development projects, EU projects, but also some PhD projects. They are ready for that. And of course, our hope is that we will push all the companies further and further up the innovation ladder. Besides the activities I just described on the different step of the innovation ladder, we also have a lot of interesting activities within networking. We have found that network groups works really well for us because it's a good way of companies meeting and discussing different agendas, but within an overall topic. But it's also a good way for us to introducing researchers with new kind of knowledge for the companies. So we have actually 5 different networks we are facilitating, and one is on blockchain. In Denmark we have worked a lot in trying to test what can blockchain be used for in this whole transparency, and also now with the EU, with the product passport, how can we use blockchain as a technology? And all the companies been a part of these projects, they have actually asked us if we could do a network so they can meet and they can discuss after the projects are finished or before we're starting a new project. We also have a network on e-commerce, and it is started actually up within the Corona times, because suddenly a lot of companies who was not already transferred to more e-commerce activities or having that as a strategy, they did that really fast. And they needed also to exchange ideas and to find the right contacts within, what kind of services they needed to have done. So it's a very strong network, the e-commerce network. Then we have one on for entrepreneurs called Movers Network, and it's more like entrepreneurs meeting. They actually go to each other's offices or where they are, and they kind of use each other as a strategy, bouncing or discussing kind of support. And then we have a network within executive, the management, where they meet and discuss like overall themes on export opportunities, sustainability, and all these kind of big mega themes within the industry. Last but not least, our newest network is circular economy and furniture interior. And it comes from the many years of us having these exhibitions, doing the Danish 3 days of design, and now also going overseas 2 years. We've been on Design London, also with a group of Danish circular furniture interior brands. And they have actually come to us and says, we need to meet up and discuss, where can we get these kind of supplies and how are you doing with these certifications and so on. Because actually when we had the exhibitions, they were all too busy talking to each other, so they didn't have time to service the customers when they came by. So we have to take that out of the exhibition so they can meet and have this networking and discussion platform. We have about 400 companies participating in our activities each year, like more longer kind of projects, and we have about 1,200 companies participating in events, so they could be after hours, seminars, conferences, and so on. And we also have about 4,800 receivers of our newsletter that we send out about every second week. In the lifestyle industry in Denmark, a lot of the revenue comes from export. We are a very small country, and many of the companies are kind of born global from the day one. That means also that we have to look into being internationally based. We have to look into matchmaking activities for our companies and research and development institutions, and also we have to get inspiration, innovation ideas also from outside Denmark. So we have different kind of international activities. Firstly, we do study trips. We just came back from Amsterdam, where we've been looking at new technologies for like AR, 3D print, and recycling facilities. Also, we do projects. We are in projects, EU projects, Interreg projects, but we are very selective what kind of themes we go into. And it must be something that is benefiting our companies or our research and development institutions. Last but not least, also we participate in conferences, seminars, and so on overseas to get new knowledge to bring back to Denmark. And as I said before, we also go out with these circular furniture or fashion display where we collect circular companies, and they actually go together on a platform on an export market and market themselves as the circular representative of Denmark. As many probably is aware of, the lifestyle industry and especially the textile fashion industry is very much seen as one of the big problem industries in EU. We use too many textiles, we don't have them for a long time, and they end up in the landfills. So in Denmark we also wanted to take responsibility, and we have worked a lot with turning the Danish companies into more circular companies. But we needed to do something more where we said enough talk, let's do some actions. And together with the Ministry of Environment, we have decided to do what you can call industry sector collaboration. That means that we together with the companies have made circular goals. What is the circular goals we have to meet by 2030 in order to help meeting the climate goals? And we have worked a lot with that and been agreeing on 3 different goals that now we have signatures signing up for to be kind of supporting this. But also what is really important into this kind of collaboration is the working groups within each of the set targets, that we make these group work and find solutions and get inspirations from internationally experts and also researchers, but also do some kind of piloting, experimenting within the working groups. And this we think is a very interesting way for a cluster to facilitate such a process. And it's something we just started up a year ago, and now we are also discussing with the furniture and wood industry to do the same. And what would we, as an experienced cluster, you may say, give of good advice to a new cluster just starting up? What kind of failures have we done that we don't want you to do? I think one thing, if I'm looking back, is maybe that getting the partners very, very close, not have too many to start up with, but have close and very good partners to team up with. So you very fast agree on a strategy and what is your priority. In the beginning, we probably wanted to solve all the problems of the industry, and we were not focused, and a lot of companies didn't know what they could use the cluster for. We were not very sharp in our communication, but also in the portfolio of activity. So the fact that we now are focusing on 3 areas where we have people in the secretary who have a lot of knowledge, but what is probably more important is our partners we're partnering up with also have a lot of good knowledge, and the companies know, well, if we are working with this, we know that this is the cluster's work. Another thing is also the what you call gliding activities, because we have the industry organizations, we have the knowledge institution, and then the clusters. And of course, we do some overlapping activities. What is really important to get these agreement in-house very fast and sit down and say, okay, we have some gray areas, but how do we tackle that? How do we agree what you do and we do? And how do we make each other stronger by not overlapping, but being very focused on where we have things in common and work together on these in common areas, or the gray area, you may say. The third advice I would have is getting a very good grip on international activities, because as Ireland, as Denmark, we are small countries, and the companies, they actually act very internationally. So you must be where the companies are and have insight into their problems, because that's the only way that we can help them solve the large challenges, is that we are on the platforms they are and we have a good insight. So good luck, and our doors are always open, and you're welcome to come to Denmark anytime to visit us. I will suggest in the spring or summer, best time. And good luck with your conference. Thank you.